Hey guys, so today we're going to be taking a look at The Witcher 1. So, a lot of you may ask, why are you covering a game that's so old and there's already been sequels made and most of the people are going to know the story anyway because they was kind of talked about in the older story. So why look at this 2007 game that doesn't have a lot going for it? So, that's kind of what I wanted to address today. Now, there are many reasons that I would say there are to play this game, but I will start with the disclaimer of I love older games. I just think there's something nostalgic about them. To be honest, there was a lot of these games I couldn't play as a kid because, either my mom wouldn't let me or, that I remember the main one was I had a Wii, so, Wii wasn't exactly the most well fit for gaming. It was really fun and I loved it and still do, but that was never the best, program or best console to play games on. And it was just the fact, it was nothing against it, it was just the truth. So, once I got an Xbox, and I remember I kind of got some games, and then I got into the Xbox One. That's when I really got big into playing, a bunch of these games that, people always talked about. Like I heard people talk about Skyrim. I never played Skyrim till the Xbox One. Just it wasn't up in my alley until later on in life. I didn't really know much about it. All my friends played Call of Duty. I played Call of Duty. I played the Lego games I still will play a Lego game because they are awesome and will always be awesome. But, it's just I got into playing Fallout. I got into playing Skyrim. I got into playing all these awesome RPGs and some of the older COD games. I never had played the campaign. I'd only played multiplayer with my friends and zombies and stuff like that. But I just grew to appreciate all these games that were, kind of something that I didn't get to experience earlier, and I'm glad I got to experience now. So, now after that disclaimer of, my kind of bias towards them, let's talk about 3 or 4 reasons why I really think you should play it. I think it's going to come down to 3, but I might add a 4th one if I'm just feeling spicy. I can't believe I just said that, but anyway, so first one is a lot of people get scared about these. I don't want to say, scared. A lot of people just get uneasy about playing these older games because they think they're not going to understand the controls and they're not going to be able to figure them out or just anything in that nature. This is how I still feel with Fallout 1. I had a bad experience fighting all their, different mini menus and all the stuff when I had originally played like Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 3 with a really different system, so I still haven't beat those games. But if any of you are worried about that, like I have been before, and I've gotten screwed over with some games because I've kind of bought games that I can't play because I don't understand how to work them. The Witcher game, the first Witcher game is a masterpiece of how they laid it out that I think is only matched by The Witcher 3. Because if you look at just the sheer, ingenuity and, forethought they put into this. Because, this was the first game. They didn't have anything really set in stone. They didn't have, the bestiary being set in stone. They didn't have a character chart being set in stone. They didn't have anything, they had the books to go off of, but books aren't always, the best templates for a video game. It can tell you the story, but then you have to decide all the mechanics. And they did a great job. I mean, it's really similar to, I'm trying to not say Skyrim and Fallout, because those are usually the RPGs that I cover on this channel. So, anyway, it's really like The Witcher 3, and it's better, in my opinion, than The Witcher 2 layout. So if you were like, I don't want it to be like The Witcher 2 layout, it's better in my opinion. Now, you may feel differently. Feel free to say that in the comments. But that's definitely my first one, is it's really intuitive, and you can get used to it easily, and it's not super bulky or clunky. Now, the fighting system is a little awkward, but as long as you learn how to hit things in the rhythm and just watch that little sword in the middle of your screen turn yellow and then click again, you'll be fine. It's really that simple, I promise. And the guides and all that and the, tutorial is really good, and it teaches you a lot, and it doesn't throw you to the wolves like some other games do. So if you're worried about the gameplay and anything of that nature, the layout of the controls, the HUD, don't. It's really easy. The game will explain to you a lot of things, and it doesn't, just assume you know everything. So that would be my first option. It's really, don't be afraid of the controls. The controls are good. The HUD and the fighting style are interesting, and it's not super clunky. It's a little clunky, but it's not near what other games from this era have been. Now, the second one I would say, and probably the one that's biggest if you look to playing all the games, is the add-on content that you get if you download your saves. Now, you can get some of this content by just, playing the game and then, deciding what choices you make in the very end. Because sometimes, I know in The Witcher 3, you're asked what choices you made in the other games to decide your ending if you didn't have a save you downloaded or you didn't want to download your save. But for just the sheer ability of this decision that you made in the first game might affect a part of the last game is awesome. And it's really intriguing to see that and see how, somebody took a game from 2007 and still made it intertwine with two other games. I think the last one was made in like 2016, 2017, but that's really cool, and it really adds a lot more to your decisions and a lot of the other things that you see affected by the game later on, in my opinion. So it is important if you do, well, it's not really a must-have, but it is really cool, and especially it's one of my favorites, that you can download your save and it'll change the games from one to the next, and I just think that's awesome. I think that's really cool. So there's my second reason, and those two are probably my most favorite. Well, I don't know, probably the second and the third are my most favorite. The first one is just kind of a give me in my opinion, but the last one is it makes the story feel alive. It makes you feel involved with the story, even though it's a virtual world that and no offense to this game, because this game looked really good in 2007, but for a game that doesn't look great and look super real, it can feel super real because of how they crafted the characters and how they made decisions not always right or wrong. They made them, your moral compass in the real world has to decide what this character should do in game. And that's awesome, and I think stuff like that really adds to the abilities of these games. Because, I love getting to see all the other characters. I love getting to see Dandelion and the dwarf. I can't remember his name, but I'll get back to him later. But I love to get to see these characters that you deal with in the other games. And I get to love, seeing how they were in the first game and how they helped you out and how you helped them out. And I just think that adds, kind of a connection to people that you don't, connection to characters, and not people, but, connection to characters in this game that you don't have in the real, and the just start, I keep wanting to say the real world, but it's not. It's hard to explain video games sometimes, guys. The verbiage is not always set in stone. People, when they created English, didn't really set up for video games. But I think it's just awesome to kind of have this, mental connection with this character that was in the first game and second game when you get to the third game. Or, you fought beside him in the first game and you learn about him. You find him dead in the third game. You're going to feel a little more offended when you realize, hey, that killed my friend from the first game, when you remember fighting alongside him and remember his character development from the first game. So you do become connected to characters, and you do notice a lot more when you go throughout the games, if you play them in order. Because developers understand that people like their games to intertwine. They like, having this game connect to this game, or this character be mentioned in this game. It's something that intrigues us as a people, as a community. Gamers love that type of stuff. It's fanfare, it's a highly popular thing. So, I do think it's something that is just really fun, but it can be it can be daunting sometimes to think, I'm going to leave this, brand new game with all its controls to go back to another. Will it really be worth it? But I think this is one of the reasons that I can say undoubtedly yes. Because you don't get some of that. I didn't get a lot of stuff that I did after playing the first game. I got a lot more stuff that I remembered from the third game. So if you play them out of order, you're not going to lose everything. You know, it's not going to be like, oh, this isn't that good. You'll kind of get that, oh yeah, I remember that dude that you're mentioning from the third game or something like that. I had one of those moments with the lady I was talking to in the game. That NPC, she was talking and she mentioned a character that I remembered from the third game. And so it was kind of like, okay, cool, so that one's connected to that one, and I met that one, but I didn't remember that one because I'd had memory loss in the first game. And if that's a spoiler to you, you literally only had like the first 4 seconds of the game spoiled, so don't worry about it. But I just think that's something that really makes the game feel more intertwined and more alive when these people that you've worked to, you know, create a relationship with, you know, you've tried to really become friends with Dandelion, and, you know, you've tried to get in a romantic relationship with Triss, or you didn't really like Triss, but you really liked Yennefer, and you remember Triss trying to say she was your girlfriend and kind of pulling away because you knew something wasn't right or you just didn't like her, so you got with Yennefer. That's fine. That's another way that you can, you know, connect these games, and you can kind of, you know how you feel about characters, not just because of some entry or what other people say about them. You can use your own experiences, you know, air quotes, this is still a video game, to draw your own opinions about how these characters are and how you should react to them and how you should treat them as a whole. I mean, games nowadays are super awesome because they're all about your choices and how you feel about things. And that's something that, you know, books and movies can't do. They can't stop and ask everybody in there, well, do you think Jack should let her have something, or do you think Jilly should let this one have something? No, you know, you can't do that in a movie or book, but you can have something that is driven by your own moral compass and your own ideas and thoughts. And that's something amazing, and that's why I love video games more than I love some books and movies. I mean, there are some books and movies that are hard to top, but I'll get into that on another video. So anyway, guys, I just want to make this video to really reassure some of you that really do think about playing this game. It's something I loved, and I do want you to experience it. Now, I will kind of address that, yes, it's been a long time since I've uploaded a video. I'm sorry for that, but that was my fault. You know, we did a really great job. We got in about a year ago. We got in it, and we stayed in for about a year and a half before I kind of took this long hiatus of I took a couple months break. I think my last video was like December. I don't know, it might have been longer than that, but I just got kind of discouraged, and, you know, I set this big goal that I wanted to last over a year, and then I did, and it was just like I have nothing else to go for. But looking back, I still really do enjoy making YouTube videos, and I just played this game and it felt so awesome, and I just felt like I had to share it, guys. So, hope y'all enjoy. I hope y'all are, you know, glad for me to be back. That's kind of a given, but just anyway, guys, I hope you have a great day, and be watching for more Witcher content, just content overall. Bye, guys.